So I'd like to say a very warm welcome to our workshop today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jess from Design School, and I'm coming to you today from Canva Space, our newest venue here in Sydney, Australia. We're very excited to be launching a new and regular series of online and face-to-face content out of Canva Space for you, our Canva community. To find out about upcoming events, just head to canva.com/Canva-space. I'm going to pop that link in the chat in a second, and head to the live webinars section and you'll find a range of interactive content designed to empower our community to design. I'm thrilled to have Caroline here with us today from Canva Print to take us through how to design and print in Canva. Over to you, Caroline.
Thanks, Jess. Hello, everybody. I'm Caroline Tollinger. I've worked as a product designer here at Canva. And again, we're presenting to you live from our Canva space in Sydney. Today, we'll be talking about printing with Canva, and we'll do this by teaching you how to design and scale your logo to print on any product. So what is Canva? If you're not familiar, Canva is a free online tool, which you can visit us at www.canva.com and start designing without ever signing in. So today I'm going to show you around our Pro product and how it empowers anyone and everyone to design. But Canva is more than just a product. We're a company with a very ambitious mission to empower the whole world to design. And we're doing all right for ourselves so far, with over 50 million monthly active users, doubling in size every year in every country and in over 100 languages. But as our founder Melanie says, we're only 1% of the way there. So if you've used Canva before, go ahead and post it in the chat and also add how long you've used it and your favorite thing about it. We would love to know. If you're new here, also let us know in the chat and what brought you here exactly today. We're so excited to have you and welcome to this Canva webinar. So we'll split this session into two parts. In the first half, we'll give you all the tools you need to design an effective logo. And then in the second, you'll learn everything you need to be a printing expert. So you'll come out of this webinar with a logo design that you'll be able to confidently use across the web and print and have it look beautiful in any context, whether that's like on a device screen, a t-shirt, or even a mug. You'll also learn about all the products you can print with Canva, our best tips and tricks for print, and how to avoid common mistakes. So before we begin, I'd like to ask everybody here a little bit about your experience working on branding. Who here has worked on branding before? Anybody? Awesome. Judy says, I've created my own logos, but I'm aware I'm not fully exploring the features. Awesome. Either branding for your own business or even your side hustle or Instagram, that all it constitutes as working for branding. Amazing. So let's do a quick trivia quiz. Which of these statements do you think is true? A, ANZ Banking has spent 15 million to redesign their logos. B, it takes an average of 10 seconds for a consumer to form an opinion on a company. C, 5 to 7 brand impressions are necessary for a consumer to remember a brand. D, 60% of small businesses dedicate up to $500 for their logo. Or E, choosing the right color can improve brand recognition by up to 80%. Any guesses?
Cynthia reckons C.
Okay. Anybody else?
All of them except A, Judy reckons.
It's close. It is all of them. It was like total evil trick question. Branding is so important that businesses spend millions on their brand to keep them relevant, to evoke a certain look and feel, to maintain and align themselves with those ideals. So it is very important to business. And if you're not lucky enough to have a company or be working for a company that has a huge brand and marketing budget, the good news is that there's Canva. With Canva's toolkit, you can design your own logo without spending $500 and choose and maintain your colors, fonts, and assets for free. Not only can you design with Canva, but you can also print them on dozens of different products. Canva Print can meet your SMB needs like stationery and stickers, your personal print needs like t-shirts and mugs, greeting cards, and your professional ones, business cards, flyers, and posters, and so much more. So stay tuned this year as we plan to launch hundreds of more products. And for every print ordered in Canva, we also plan to treat, just doing our small part in the world towards sustainable living. So with these new print features, we thought we could host a workshop on how to design a logo that you can easily use and print on anything. And if designing a logo isn't relevant for you or it's not your thing, feel free to design a personal trademark, which you can use on resumes, portfolios, and personal websites. Okay, let's get started. Start by answering 2 questions. 1, what is your business about? And 2, how do you want people to feel? Once you've answered those questions, it'll make it much easier for you to choose your colors and your fonts. Both typography and color can heavily influence how your customer views your brand. So we're going to attempt to translate how we want people to feel towards our brand into actual colors and fonts. So let's talk about color psychology, which is a real thing, by the way. You may see a few charts around the internet similar to this one, where it'll show you sort of like a color guide on what kind of emotions each color invokes. The truth is there's no right or wrong answer for choosing a color for your brand, but just think of this as like a loose guideline to point you in a good direction. So let's take a look at a couple of companies who use these colors. You've got PowerShop, which is an Australian energy company who uses pink to sort of market themselves towards millennials and energy conscious consumers. And they do this by trying to be like approachable, fun, and wholesome. You've got the Australian Post, which uses like a deep, deep red to market themselves as like a fundamental or essential service company, an important pillar to Australian society. Fanta uses orange, not only to color the sodas, but to invoke sort of a warm and friendly brand. And they've got like sort of like a round typography to match. And of course, McDonald's uses that yellow to literally market happiness with Happy Meals. So here are a few more colors in sort of like the darker range. You've got Twitch, which is a streaming platform geared towards gamers and content creators. So they're really catching that creative look and feel. ANZ Banking, like many other banking companies, rely on a dark blue to make their customers feel a sense of safety, trust, and peace of mind towards their brand. Twitter, on the other hand, is going for that light and casual feel with that light blue, just emphasizing the fact that they're a texting platform and they're, modern, and everybody on their platform is trying to, be clever in 120 characters. So it's like a very casual feel. Then you've got this Australian-made logo, which is often seen on food packaging here in Australia. And it's, of course, used to promote like a good for your body, good for Australia kind of vibe. Okay, so fonts is pretty easy. The easiest way to decide is just decide between serif and sans serif. Serif fonts are typically great for sort of like classical, formal, and sophisticated settings. So they're really associated with a lot of print products, sort of like publishing companies and books. You've got sans serif, which is modern, minimalistic, and simple. So they're trying to come across as like youthful, more accessible. You'll often see this type of font on the web simply because it's easier to read on devices. So I was thinking we could do a little demo next. I'm going to pretend I own a cafe and I'm rebranding my mom and pop coffee shop. So the first thing I want to do is, now that I've got my business, I will choose 3 adjectives that I'd like people to associate with the store. So I will choose, here, let's run to the webinar, which Jess will post in just a second after this demo. Let's call it Caroline's Coffee. And I want people to think of it as sort of a healthy brand, maybe warm, and maybe inviting. Ignore all the caps. All right, that sounds good to me. So I will just move on to the next page. And I'm going to start looking for logo templates, which you can do on the left-hand side here. Right at the top, you'll see templates. And right here, you've already got populated a bunch of different logo templates, but I will just do coffee logos. Got it right here. And I'm going to look for something that sort of goes with my feel. I think based off of my adjectives, I feel pretty good with going like a green yellow palette, but let's see what we have in terms of designs. Not seeing anything that really jumps out to me quite yet. I think I will choose this one. So it doesn't have the colors that I'm sort of looking for yet. But what I like to do is to go to the Styles tab in the left-hand side, and it'll populate a bunch of different combos of colors and fonts. So I'm just going to click colors, and it'll just populate colors. So I can do them separately, colors and fonts. And let's see if we've got like a yellow green vibe going on. I really like this lemon meringue. Let's go citrus fresh. It's a little bit more of a warmer yellow than I like, but it kind of goes good. So you can always click shuffle if you don't like the way it's been displayed. So I'm just going to see what options they have available here. Jackson's Bowl & Tea Company, too warm. This is cute, okay. And then I think I'm going to change the fonts. I'm not a big fan of the fonts here. I think I'm going to go something with sans serif, something a little bit more bold and approachable. Ooh, so like, you know what? I think I'm going to stick with this. So I'm going to put Caroline's here. I'm going to shrink this to size to match. I'll put Caroline's. All right, I think that looks good to me. So I'll pause here, and I'll go ahead, Jess will go ahead and post that link in the chat for you. We'll put on some tunes and give you 5 minutes to try it out yourself. Let's jump back into Zoom and we'll get started. If any of you guys are brave and courageous today and would love to share your designs and get feedback, you're more than welcome to post your view links in the chat at the end of the webinar. And if we have some extra time, we can go over your amazing designs. Or if Judy just wants, if you just want some more time to play around with it, we'll have some time at the end. Cool. So I've got a little quiz for you guys. Which logo do you guys think will survive the test of time? Logo A or logo B? For a couple seconds.
We'll get that one right.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and reveal the answer. It's logo A. Logo A's imagery is bolder and simpler and using more basic shapes, and the font is going to be more readable in small context and from far away. But let's dig in and see what makes a logo foolproof, specifically for printing. Here are 4 basic principles to keep in mind. Think about your background. If you want to use a background color, make sure to define its boundaries. Avoid missing font issues. So don't rely on every computer to have your logo font. Make sure it's downloaded as an SVG or PNG after you're done designing. Think about your negative space. If you plan on using negative space as part of your logo, make sure you know what you want to be transparent and what you don't want to be transparent. B, design for scale. There's a couple tests that you can use to make sure your logo will look great in any size or environment. So number 1, background. You can test your logo design on light and dark backgrounds, and you can do that by playing around with sort of the color in the toolkit, in the toolbar on the top. So some common things you can do to make sure that your logo will look great on either is to either A, add a dark border around your logo, or add a background shape around your logo so you can control the background color yourself. So let's take a look. A lot of our logo templates will give you a great starting point, but when you consider how you might want to use that logo on, say, like stationery or t-shirts, that dusky sort of pink color may not actually be the color of the paper or the t-shirt. So this is a good opportunity to decide on the shape and the boundaries of your logo. And of course, there's nothing ever wrong with using a square for the shape of your logo. Just make sure that that's what you've intended. 2, fonts. Keep in mind that Word or Pages don't always carry a huge selection of fancy fonts. So if you plan on using a unique one, make sure you export it, your logo text separately as an SVG or PNG. It's always good to have that just in case. This makes your text act like an image file, so you can use any type of program you want, and you can even just send it to the printers and they will absolutely keep that format. So if you're using Canva to do this, all you have to do is sort of delete all the other elements on the page, enlarge it to fit the page, and then download it as a PNG or SVG with a transparent background. And always make sure to open it on your computer just in case you decide to use another program. That's always good to check and make sure it opens on your computer, and that you have a separate file with your logo text. And then in a separate file, again, just make sure you have the entire design together. It's very, very easy. 3, negative space. If you plan on using negative space, remember that that will be part of your logo. That part is going to be transparent. So it'll take on whatever color that it's being printed on. So make sure you check what colors you want as your background color and what you want to be transparent. So here I've played around with the logo on the left, and I found I didn't actually like the negative space inside the logo. So on the right hand, I've just decided to fill it in with a white background color. It just makes it super easy. I don't have to think about what it's being printed on. For design with scale in mind, you can check your logo by running it through a quick scaling test. All you have to do is highlight all the elements of your design, of your logo design, group them, and then shrink them to 1/4 the size. And then you'll want to make sure that your logo can still be read. So it's that it's legible and that people can still recognize your image. Some common offenders with logos is that they're like really thin lines in your image, or images are really, really busy or complex. And then in terms of font, anything that has like very thin serif or sans serif fonts can typically sort of like disappear if you make them too small. So here I've got 2 different versions, and I love the font on the left-hand side, but when I shrink it down, it makes it really hard to read. So if I'm printing this on like Post-it notes or something really small, or like I'm doing pencil packaging, that logo is not going to work super great. So there is a trade-off. I mean, obviously I don't like the font on the right is not my favorite, but it's going to work for any size. Now we have a couple minutes to hop back into our workbook. I will put on a timer for 3 minutes, and you guys can take a look at any changes you need to make. Let's head back for a little bit more lesson time. We're finally into the good stuff. We get to talk about web versus print. So there are some key differences when you're designing for print versus web. Since digital screens will show a different range of colors than what a printer can print, you want to make sure that you can review your designs in CMYK before printing. And so as a general rule, brighter, more saturated colors will come out a bit duller when printed, which is often why you don't see bright neon highlighter colors on paper. If you plan on using your design to like upload or design on other platforms like Photoshop. Exporting as a PNG and SVG will work for web. PDF is typically great for print, but both will make sure you can keep any transparent backgrounds that you have and make sure that it looks high quality when you scale it, like make it smaller or bigger. And then if you're sending the file somewhere to be finalized, for print, SVG and PDF works best. Typically, printers will accept PDF as the more preferred format, but either SVG or PDF for web or print is going to make sure it keeps it high quality. Yes, so let's move on to the next slide. I whisked through a couple of terms, but we're just going to back up and learn a little bit more. So web and print uses different colors. RGB, which is stands for red, green, and blue, are the colors that are used on screens. And these are the base colors that are used to display any color you might see on a monitor or like a screen, like your phone screen. However, printed products rely on colored inks, cyan, magenta, yellow, and key, also known as black, CMYK. And though the combination of those colors are used to print really any color on a printer. So because of this difference, screens and inks will produce a different range of colors. As a general rule of thumb, I said earlier, printed colors tend to come out a little less saturated or rich. As you can see on the screen, this purple especially looks a lot duller than here on the left-hand side. So if you want to make sure that your design is going to look exactly the same in both print and web, you'll want to avoid these colors here. If you're playing around with the color slider, these are the areas that tend to be the most saturated and so will come out a little dull and not what you expect. And then if you are playing around in the top right-hand corner, this also tends to be sort of like the more saturated colors. So it's just these sections that you want to look out for. And when you're in these sections, to make sure that you don't play around with any colors too bright in this area. And this is an issue that you'll want to keep in mind whether you're printing from any printer. So whether it's like from Canva or Officeworks, it's just something you got to look out for. Another quirk about printers is they typically can't print all the way to the edges of the page. So there's an industry term called print bleed. That's where your document is given a designated margin of error around all the edges. So if you'll see this dotted line here, that's the print bleed. So somewhere between this line and the edge of the page is where the printer will start inking your design. So as long as you stretch it all the way to the edges, you'll make sure that you won't end up with a white border by accident. The danger zone is pretty similar, except this is about how the printer cuts it. So anything in this red margin here is at danger of being cut off. So even though the printer may place ink in the red zone, there's no guarantee that when it gets cut to the correct size, that those elements like the cutlery images here and the text is going to be safe. So as an extra precaution, you can move these elements inside and away from the red lines. Canva's platform will always inform you whether your designs are at risk of these issues, and you'll always have a chance to proofread or tweak your designs before we print it here at Canva. So yeah, just remember you'll need to spend a few minutes to review your design before printing, but I promise you it'll set you up, you and your designs for printing success. In fact, Canva also warns you if you have any like low res images on your design before you print, which is really nice because sometimes you're looking at something that's going to be like way bigger, but you see it on the screen so you don't notice that it's going to be low res for when it's printed at scale. All right, so for the moment of truth, we're going to do a demo. I'm going to take my logo design I've just designed and I'm going to apply it to a different product. So I'm going to hop back into the workbook. I'm going to choose a product. Let's see. But I'm going to read the directions here one more time to make sure I've got it right. I'm going to click on the ellipses in the top right-hand corner, scroll down to the print section. So I think I'm going to choose a mug because I'm a hypothetical coffee shop owner. And I just love mugs. I have like a million mugs at home. And I'm going to click resize design. And it's made an entire copy of my logo workbook. So just know that like your design file is safe. And if you go back to your home page, you'll see it. It'll say like original size of the logo workbook. So you won't have lost anything, but we've made a copy of the logo workbook so that we can actually put it on a mug. And we're going to just select page 4 to check it out. And you'll have this live preview here. So what you can do is you can actually move elements and see how it looks on the mug. So I think I want it a little bigger. Let me scale it all the way to the edges of the page. Whoop. So, okay, that I think is probably big enough. I'm gonna go ahead and click continue, and Canvas platform here, you'll just, oh, let's see, I guess it's mugs, doesn't. So one thing to be aware of is when you're not printing on, like, say, a mug, it'll take you through this pre-press options where you'll be able to see the danger zone and the print bleed. So let me see if I can go back, and we'll actually choose, here's the original sizes. See, I've been playing around with it quite a bit. Here I've got my logo design. I'm gonna try it on maybe a flyer. Let's do a poster. Poster sounds great. We'll resize it to a poster. I will just click page 4 as the one that I want to print. And it should take me through the pre-press options. Awesome. So this is the print bleed here. So if you have, you know, a background like an image, make sure you scale it all the way to the edges of the canvas. And here it'll show you the danger zone. So if I had my design on the outside, I'll just make sure I want to keep it on the inside. So continue. It's prompted me to do a proofread. So just make sure that everything looks great, doesn't have a typo. And then you'll be off to do your shipping details, and that's it. Feel free to continue playing with your logo designs and maybe even applying it to a t-shirt, because we'll be sharing a link to a feedback form in the next slide. And in it, you can copy and paste your link to your amazing logo designs, and we'll be selecting a winner for a free t-shirt. We'll drop this link in the chat. This is the link to the feedback form. Feel free to take out your phones and open your camera app and scan the QR code, or just click on the link in the chat. Or bookmark it for later. Whenever you're finished with your design and are ready to share it, go ahead and fill this out. Share your view links or your edit links, whatever it is. Don't forget to do it in case you want a free t-shirt. And if you enjoyed this webinar and want to see more, feel free to check out our design school, where you can find online courses and links to more live webinars. Thank you all for coming, and we hope to see you next time. If you haven't already posted a link to your designs, go ahead and do them now. I would love to see what you guys have worked on. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd like to say thank you, Caroline, today for taking us through that great workshop and helping us understand more about print. That was excellent. So please do feel free to pop any questions you have in the chat. We've got a little time for Q&A. But as Caroline said, also, we'd super appreciate it if you filled out that feedback form. I've dropped the link in the chat there. You can just copy and paste that into your browser, because we have started this new series of live webinars and workshops for you, our Canva community. And this is your chance also to let us know which workshops you would like to see more of, so we can create content that is going to help you feel empowered to design. So that link is in the chat, and as Caroline said, there's actually the option to win a free t-shirt. If you want your logo on a t-shirt, you can pop that link in the end of that feedback form as well, which is pretty cool. But if there are no questions, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been great to have you on board, and thank you again to Caroline for an awesome workshop.
Thanks, Jess. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. See ya.